Ya.
Listo.
Everybody ready? Okay, Juli, go ahead.
Yes, I ready.
Listo. Bueno, good night. Um, bueno, listo, todos me escuchan. Good night, Valen Discussion, Course Columbia Education.
Good
Group
night, Maria.
number 5, our group consisting of Gary Lemus, Magali Leon, Brainer Silva, Alexander Zavala, and go speaking Juliana Villegas. We will talk about the development of Colombian education in the centuries. Faced with the development of Colombian education, the Ministry of Education were a specific project of bilingualism. Next, my colleague I talk about improve proper for society one, the project. Welcome panel discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Ready? You have
Thank
to
you. Hello. Hello, everyone.
go ahead with your intervention.
Okay, I have a topic one, foreign language education policy in Colombia. My introduction is language policy in Colombia and historical summary language policy and reform agents before the national bilingual program in Colombia. They back to colonial times after the colonization of the new continent. The missionaries were effective in imposing their language, mainly in Spanish, Greek, and Latin. Later, after the independence of the region of Spain 2 centuries ago, the new ruling elite began sending their children to Europe, which then led the importation of books and ideas associated with language such as French, German, and English. These movements paved the way to today's language in the country in its association with enlightened ideas in intellectual elite, while indigenous and Creole language began to be associated with the ignorance and underdevelopment. In my recent development after World War II, the politic, economic, and cultural process associated with what we know now as globalization led to the consolidation of English and French as the most commonly taught language in Colombia. Uh, Economic agendas after a visit by the Colombian President France, a decree was issued making English mandatory for grades 6 and 7 and compulsory French for grades 10 and 11, while free choice of English or French in grades 9 and 8. In recent decades, at least three initiatives will mark the field of teaching and learning foreign language in Colombia. Number one, CV Colombia Bilingual, and number two, CW Colombia Very Well, and now NBP National Bilingual Program. This is my presentation. Um,
Are you done? I think we have a sound problem, so as we are speaking, can block the microphones. We can hear only the person and not the persons around. Do you understand? Thank you. So I have topic the next. My topic number two, and the title is Being Bilingual in Colombia according to the National Bilingualism Plan. I, I still can hear the noises. Great, and Alex, can you block your, um,
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
I mean, can you block your microphone just
Neither
for a
can
minute?
I.
Okay.
Block, so you can hear me only. Fully, you have your microphone blocked, so we cannot hear you. Can you talk? Do you want to talk? Okay. So the title is Being Bilingual in Colombia according to the National Bilingualism Plan. So Carmen Elena Guerrero, who is the author of this document, points out some troublesome aspects that this particular bilingualism program has. One of them, and probably is the one that gathers the real purpose for her motivation to write about this, is that social structures shape the form of discourse, and at the same time, discourse shapes social discourse structures. This means that the speech used to refer to bilingualism in Colombia is attached to English language on purpose, leaving this way other languages out of the concept. Even the ethnic ones, which need to be considered according to the Ministerio de Educación Nacional. So basically, what the author does is exposing what it can be a hidden agenda of the imperial government that has established English as the universal language, covering this way the real purpose of power relationships that pretend to dominate the world discourse of for particular benefits. So Guerrero claims that the basic standard competences in foreign languages proposal presents a limited project that offers benefits to some Colombian students, but leaves so many others out, since it doesn't consider the social, cultural, and economic problems that Colombia has, which are child labor, child exploitation, and the fact that 42% of children under 18 years old are displaced from their hometowns due to violence. So not all students can be included in this bilingualism program or any other one if the social, economic, and educational problems aren't solved first. So this is it. This is my intervention. Now we proceed with Dari, which has topic number 3. Dari, your microphone is blocked.
Okay, sorry. Good afternoon, classmates. My name is Dari Junior Lemus, and today I'm going to talk to you about the third topic, cultural implication for bilingual education in Colombia. Um, Bilingual programs let students to get a better and progressive domain of English language, permitting people to have jobs, or in this case, better job opportunities and interaction with other cultures. This help them to improve the opportunities of their lives, contributing in this way to the growth of the country, opening doors to commerce with a neighbor's country or even those that are far away. And here we can see how English is the main tool indispensable to the professional life to people nowadays. English is the universal tongue, so it is an important tool that we have to have, but also learn how to use, because it's the key that opens the doors which we use to communicate with an external world around us. In Colombia, sometimes thought it, but if we analyze, we can realize that we don't need it or even not use it, but contributing to our new learners be good capacitated in helping to our nation developing. Um, Through the years, Colombia has been increasing English to its productions, and this due to expand and negotiate with other countries around the world. But the most important that I think is exchange cultural information. And why? Because we can meet and know other ones, and this not means that we have to change our, but we can learn a lot and share, and this is with a specific purpose. Is find ways to help our society become better every day and get a common. Okay, this was the part of my title. um, I think with the next student.
Next is topic number 4.
Okay, good afternoon and hello everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm going to talk to you about my topic, Colombia Speak English to achieve global communication. A specific purpose is a national program through bilinguals for Colombia to communicate better. The teaching of English as a foreign language in Colombia, something that we could compare with the myth of the Platon cavern. The language has a universally can be more that we can see. So, because the bilingual problem must approach to a standard, it must not let handled by the dark forces. According to the Article 115 of the General Education Law, intercultural language diversity, community participation, flexibility, and progressivity are the object. This purpose will be strange the process to identify knowledge and native language. The education program have muted seeking to improve. The most important thing is to advance the bilingual education projects with the help of technology without diverting resources. Thank you. And now, Julie, you next.
Juli, your microphone is muted. We cannot hear you. Juli?
Sorry. Basic standard of competence in language foreign. English contributes to education bilingual Colombia. Basic standard of competence in language foreign. English I consider since and launched in 26 as fundamental building a quality education in conjunct with the curriculum. Proposal you have basic English learning ring. They materialize the collective effort to achieves to improvement of English teaching and learning process in Colombia and are the best accompanied to the work of design in curricular. Planning of English teacher in the official sector school in the current of Northern Belém, each grad group the necessary standard developed to take a student a level. First still A1 beginner, A4 in the fifth, A2 basic, 6 and 9 B3 intermediate 1, 10, 11 by 1 pre-intermediate 2. How much acquisition of learning of English can take place classroom space either for learned create situation of your interest have contact with of information understand with a specific language context in the third hand experience with deduction of rules by exposition machine to kind them. And thank you. Um,
Thank you. Next is the debate or the discussion.
yeah,
So we're going to proceed with the questions. And anybody wants to start?
Okay, I have a question for Darin. Darin,
Okay. Yes.
why minority language in our country are not valued?
I think that as the people they give importance to the language, but in this case in Colombia, we give more importance to another tongues like English because is a key that open the world's doors, and instead of it, the mineral language here in Colombia, like ethnic language, doesn't open it, and it doesn't mean that this isn't important, because as you know, ethnical languages or minority languages are very important as the other ones. However, we don't give the necessary importance to it.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I have a question to Alexander. And I saw your speech outline, so I want to know about a specific point that it gathered my attention, and it has to do with the foreign, when you say the foreign language activities must have a broader level to achieve the goal of Colombian speaking English. So, what do you mean by this? And if you can give us an example about that.
Okay, thank you, Magali. Uh, a personal example first. When I was in the high school, I always have 2 or 3 hours of English in the week. I only have a notebook and a dictionary. So, given that, I express two precepts that I found interesting: motivation and interaction. So, I spot Bicep and the Cardinals postulate that there are a few hours to teaching and a few materials. The key is the interaction. Facilitate the application of information to new situation and context. And the interaction give you more advanced and more complex tools.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question for Brainer.
okay, partner, tell me.
Uh-huh. Can you give us information about the educational resource and how they have invested?
Okay, partners. Let's first understand a little about the police and how important it is that they are well play and resource will distribute. The idea when creating police is to favor the process of inclusion, exclusion, and stratification through programs such as at the National Bilingual Program. And this is the case of the National Bilingual Program and most of the linguist and education reform that present it. How explained above, government officials have faced a record of ineffective police in an external scale pressure to adopt attractive language policies to the international community. In this process, they participate transnational organizations in chairs such like the British Council and the University of Cambridge for local implementation. Okay. In the new reform and indirectly recognized by government officials, this standardization is based on the introduction of internal quality models and a movement toward the certification, accreditation, and credentials that can test the capacity and individual capacity on an institutional to teach future teacher. This is the way language teaching and learning in Colombia become teaching being certified in advancing itself as another product able in the free market. Meanwhile, in a crazy number is private and private institutions obtain benefits based on the new reforms. Among the main products that are advertising on the website and the connect to the single test, the potential custom are offered the several costs for practice material or book or preparation. In other words, in a country where salary minimum for equal one person, it will require a full month to pay for this test, 2 months to pay for a standard course on the least amount and a half to pay for the material preparation and book. For this reason, it's important that the police are well at play and resource will distribute.
Thank you.
Okay, I
Thank
got a
you so
question
much.
for Juliana. Juli, in your opinion, tell us how effective do you think the bilingual programs in Colombia are?
Juli, your microphone is muted.
Yes, your microphone is off.
Thank you, Daddy. The role of the coordinating and detention rector is essential to achieve the success of the action promised by leading one manager. It is your how make to change in the classroom, uh, how motivated a student and present the infinite path to the hotel with the learning of one or more foreign languages. I have
Okay.
question, Magali.
Okay.
Um According to the one Guerrero, processed in speech for the Colombian Language Project, what do you result from the document to improve culture exchange and approach the bilingualism in Colombia?
Okay, so I understand well. How do I rescue cultural exchanges and promote bilingualism in Colombia? So first of all, I think that Guerrero has an interesting approach about bilingualism concept because this concept is being attitude to speaking English. Sometimes or many times at schools, a foreign language is English as the first option or the only option. So concerning cultural exchanges, I think it's important to change the way in which we see bilingualism, which means that there are other people or many people here in Colombia that speak other languages or another language, like our own indigenous people, and they are not considered bilinguals, and they should have more job opportunities as well and have the same appreciation that we have for another person who speaks English, for example. So the value of other languages need to be taken into account for us as future teachers, and to put that in the minds of our own students as well. So concerning to the other part of the question, which is promoting bilingualism in Colombia, I think that we should promote Spanish to uh, speakers, English speakers as well. For example, they come here, English speakers come here, Americans, British, whatever, and we force ourselves to speak English in order for them to feel comfortable. Why not try to promote Spanish so they can become bilingual too, or at least to interact? That's the most important thing, is changing cultural exchanges, being part of the language as one of the main aspects of culture too. So this is it. Now next, we have the closing of our discussion panel, and I can say that what's most important thing about this general topic about bilingualism programs in Colombia and its implication is that a matter for us future teachers to take into account is the concept, as I said before, the concept of bilingualism, which is evidently being misunderstood, since it has been attached to speaking English only. So this way, we can say that in the process of becoming English teachers, we also need to make our students aware of the communicative purpose of speaking English more than its economic advantages. So this means that learning another language implicates learning the culture of that language, and not only better job opportunities. So this way, understanding the differences and at the same time appreciating those differences makes us closer to the ideal of bilingualism and the value of all languages we can be proficient in. So finally, it is important to highlight that by knowing the different bilingualism programs and educational policies that are happening in Colombia, we need to develop also a critical thinking when approaching these projects, because we don't want to reproduce acts of explosion and injustice. Well, this is it, and thank you all for a successful discussion panel. It wasn't easy to arrange the date, but we could finally did it, and that's what's important. Thanks again, and to all of you, and have all of you a good night. Somebody wants to say something?
No, thank you.
No, I don't.
Oh,
Okay.
but thanks to all, thanks all for the effort. The weather is not is not helpful.
Thank you. Goodbye then.
Okay, bye bye.
Goodbye all, and thank you so much. Happy good night. Happy good night.
Good
You
evening.
too.
Bye.